This remains in depth, and I hope you have signed on or subscribed to our channel on YouTube. And of course, the podcast series continue. But not only do you have to sign up to subscribe, you watch, you share, so that we're sharing the ideas and the experiences of the wonderful guests we have in this first series, which is Governance, Nigeria, and the Future. In a bit, I'll be back with my guest today. Okay, I'm going to share two experiences with my guest, maybe three. First of all, having her on the cover of Today's Woman. And second of all, a book that she sent to me that I read in the middle of the pandemic. You know what the pandemic was like for all of us? All of us are sequestered and wondering what would happen to us with this virus we couldn't understand. And the book is titled this. It's My Father's Daughter, a personal memoir of a woman all of us, Nigeria and abroad, see as a perfect voice, I say, that's my opinion, perfect voice in the music industry. And, now she has this book, memoirs, vulnerability is in that book, truth is in that book, lessons that show you that God's will always be done in your life if you remain one of integrity. Because it's the life of her father, popularly known as Onyeka Onwenu, who my guest didn't see for more than 5 years of her life, but somehow formed the rest of her life. Am I correct as I welcome you on board, Auntie Onyeka? Am I correct to say that those 5 years formed you?
Absolutely.
Now, I got this book in 2020, right? And then you sent it to me free of charge. I'm saying, this woman doesn't like money. But anyway, the minute I read it, I was like, man, there's so much to learn. And now, more so than ever before, especially today we're recording this, and I've just gone through watching the APC primaries. And like, goodness gracious, Nigeria get many things to learn from inside this book. Correct?
Absolutely.
So I want to start from why it took you 3 years to write it and why you wrote it in the first place.
It took me longer than 3 years. I'd been thinking about it at least 3 years beyond that. And I had mentioned to some young people that I was writing the book, and they were like urging me, and everywhere they saw me, was like, where's the book? How's the book coming? And so on. So I felt kind of, I didn't want to let down my generation by not actually keeping my word. So I was forced to sit down after my disengagement from government, to write it. And having started it, I sent the first few chapters to Chude. And he read them and he was gushing and he was like, oh, auntie, you have to do this, you have to. I said, okay. Initially, I had thought I didn't have much to write about, but maybe a few things I could write about. And so I started. And then it took 3 years on top of that one. You hit a painful patch, you stop. Things that you have remembered, that you thought you had put away, you have to deal with them all over again. It was cathartic, it was therapeutic, it was painful, but it needed to be done, and it was very good for me.
So for you, it was not about writing a book, selling it, making money, even though it was therapeutic, right? What did you think we could go away with reading this book, especially reading about the fact that your father, who didn't live long enough, I mean, he was in his 40s when he passed on, but he had achieved,
40 years old.
He was 40. He had achieved so much. He was already representing his, in the House of Assembly. He was a politician, he was a teacher. It's like he could do both at the same time. So I feel that maybe before, during, or after, you must have felt that this is a lesson for politicians as well today, that life is about service above everything else.
I had so many reasons to write the book. Certainly one of them was that people didn't really know me. They thought they did, and basically they are the things that the journalists who write on social media, before then, the gossipists would write about sensational stuff, and they thought they knew me. So it was important to tell my side of the story, who was Onyeka Onwenu, who is Onyeka Onwenu, and what is she really all about? And indeed, my family background had to resonate throughout the story because that was the foundation on which I grew. So both parents, my siblings, who we were as the Onwenus, it was important to present their story as well. But if I have to look for one singularly most important lesson and the thing to grasp from the book is that life is filled with ups and downs. A lot of triumphs and a lot of pain, a lot of mistakes, but it is life. And you are sent here for a purpose. If you can just buckle down, find out what that purpose is, and run with it. Mm-hmm. Life is good. Life is important. That's the lesson of it all.
However, I always thought, I assumed that the example of your father was what made you go into politics and try to serve.
Certainly. I tried serving. I didn't want to go into politics, so I tried serving without it. I could only go so far because I looked at my personal effort and I could only help this number of people. But then maybe a wider audience by the life I was living and the example of that life, because you teach by example, my parents taught me. But then going into politics became necessary because I needed to reach out to a greater number of people in a way that I could improve their lives. And that was why. So yes, my father was part of it, but wasn't altogether the main reason that I went into politics. And I went in to serve. And I drew the analogy of what's happening with Peter Obi right now and how people are responding to him, because Nigerians are hungry for the real thing, for the real deal, for honesty, for integrity, for decency in politics. And that was what people like my father represented. And that is what has guided me in everything that I do, to be the best that I can do, to do it for the bigger reason, not for any selfish reason. And I was left a wonderful name by my parents. I had to uphold the names. I had to uphold their legacy. There wasn't any amount of money or anything you could use to entice me to not live by the principles I had been raised with. I look at someone like Peter Obi right now and what he represents in the country and why young people are reacting to him. I see my father in him. I see that Nigeria has made a turnaround again to the core values that we grew up with, that we were raised with. That's what Peter Obi and people like him represent. And I'm very happy to see that.
Well, as we're going in that direction, I just wonder though, because you did try to give your service. I remember asking you in 2008, 2007, why you ran for office at the local government level when you could have, I mean, given the virtue of how big you were, everybody knew Onyeka Onwenu in the industry. Because, and I mean, you were also a journalist with high repute, doing that wonderful documentary that the world is still talking about today, Squandering of what's the title of that thing? Squandering of Riches, right? And then you go to run for office as a local government chairman, and yet you didn't get it.
No, they wouldn't let me. They were scared. Someone like me would come and upturn the apple cart. And people can say, oh, well, look what they're doing in that local government. Why can't we have that? So they were scared. I worked for 8 years to just be given the proverbial level playing ground, and they wouldn't. In the meantime, the government using my name to promote their government, had signboards in Imo State as you're coming and as you're leaving. I'm the one saying welcome and the one saying, so if you didn't believe in me, why use me in such a manner? My people needed to have to feel government at that level I was pained as to what was happening, the level of poverty, the lack of education. This was my father, if he had been alive. There were so many people that would have gone to school. I wanted to work for them at that level, that teachers are paid and roads are paved and people have opportunities, and whatever is given to the local government is used for them and not shared among stakeholders. Those were the things that were important to me, but they wouldn't let me.
Who's they?
Oh, the powers that be in Idato North, particularly the governors, and some people from my hometown who were scared. You know, we look down on women to say, women have come now. She can't even give kola nut to the elders when they come to visit. So how is she going to be entertained? I said, oh, so I didn't think that being local government chairman meant serving kola. I thought it was getting things done. We'll employ somebody to serve you kola 24/7. You know, how much is kola? Afufa and kola nut and the brand nut that you use in different, no problem. But let me get there and do the job. It was a problem.
8 years, I mean, again, eventually you got to serve in government where the president then, Olusegun Obasanjo, gave you a position.
No, okay, at the NTA, as a board director.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was the journey towards the rest of, service. Tell me about that.
That was. It really was. It also opened my eyes to the rights in government, in the parastatals. I mean, oh my goodness. I can still talk about NTA, that you still look at NTA and I see so much that is amiss. We're not there yet. After all these years, after all the people that have gone through NTA, it's how people, our mindset towards government parastatals. When we're there, you know, it's like it's not anybody's property. So you don't really have to give yourself. It's everybody's property. It's the property of people who can't speak for themselves. Poor people who are downtrodden. It's their property, and you need to uplift them, not keep them down.
That was a tough job too. But eventually you became the DG. When you got the news, I don't want to give away what I read in this book. I just want to talk about when you got the news that you had been named the Director General for the Women's Development Center.
What was my reaction?
That's right.
It was, oh boy, what is the National Center for Women Development? What do they do now? Let me think. Where are they sending me? Then it happened to be somewhere that, I would be happy about, because it meant working on issues regarding women and the girl child. And that's just right up my alley. Mm-hmm. So, and I had visited the place before, just that they weren't doing much that the public knew about. And I thought, okay, this is a challenge, but it's one that I'm capable of shouldering. Let's go, let's get it done. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of support from the First Lady, Dame Patience,
then First Lady,
Goodluck Jonathan, and she was like, she wasn't going to listen to anybody telling her that Onyeka Onwenu is a snob. It's okay, let her go there and do the job. And she really, really, really gave me the support. Don't listen to anybody, just get in there, get things done from day one. And that was very encouraging for me.
Well, I brought that up because you said about the NTA, about parastatals, and I wonder if one can extrapolate to the rest of the country and our thinking of what government is, that government is where you go and fill up some pocket or to go and follow some agenda,
Well, that's how politics is played, and we just saw a reinforcement of that. I believe in recent years is that it has even gotten worse. When someone is spending so much money running for office, and if they have to go and borrow or do whatever, what are they going to do when they get in there? They'll try and make it back.
You hear about bribing delegates. It's even at the local government level, there are people who are expecting you to come and give them money or make promises you cannot even keep without putting yourself into trouble.
Did that
So
happen
when
to
you
you?
get there, you are going to try and make, yeah, it did. It did happen to me. It did happen to me, but I funded my campaign from my savings, help here and there from a few friends, but that was it. And I wasn't going to commit to something that at the end of the day, I'm going there to try and make it back. I wasn't going to do it. But I had an effective campaign all the same. But I'm talking generally here. If you have to do all that, then once you get into office, you're going to try and make the money back somehow. There's a lot of pressure from family and friends that, oh, now that you're in government, we are expecting you to be building 5-story buildings for every member of the family or something like that. And I definitely wasn't going to do that. I lost a lot of friends, quite a few friends. And even when they realized that I was spending my own money, it didn't matter. It was, what have you done for me lately?
Ooh, yeah.
And so I just had to say, you leave me alone.
So what does that bother you though? Is there hope? For me, this whole essence of having this conversation is that there should be hope. Your mom's name was Hope, by the way. I remember.
Yes.
It was Hope. And she was hopeful all till the end. She lived to be over 80, right?
Absolutely.
Uh-huh. So is there
92.
any hope? My goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there hope?
Thank God for that.
If there's hope, where does it lie?
There is hope. It lies with our young people who seem to be reacting marvelously to the idea of a P2B in Aso Rock to take Nigeria back. Nigeria is a blessed country. So much to give to the world. We are good people. We're hardworking people. We're talented people. In terms of education, we got people. In terms of technocrats, we got people. Ideas people, we have them. So what is happening to us as a country that we are wallowing in poverty, in armed, in killings and banditry and terrorism and all those things that cannot move a society forward? What is wrong with us?
Some say it still is our reference to ethnic differences and poor leadership. That's the reason we have poor leadership. Do you agree?
If you had good leadership, ethnic differences would be thrown out of the window. Let every region, as we had at a point, develop. I think if you want the competition between the North and the South and the East and the West, everybody was competing, everybody was doing well in agriculture, in education, in industrialization. Oh my goodness, what's happened? Now everybody is looking, let's go get the money from Abuja. We're making a lot of money from oil, and let's just share it amongst individuals. Let the rest of the country go to blazes. Those are the conditions that make it possible for ethnic and jihadist destruction to go on, and people actually append themselves to such movements because they have nothing else.
So ethnicity is not important. From what you're saying, you're sounding like you're one of those who would support a restructuring of sorts.
Oh, why not? Restructuring will be good for us. I remember when we had regions operating, when we were a federation. We're not a federation anymore. Regions were operating on their own, and yet there were certain areas that were shared in diplomacy and what have you. But everybody was developing. Everybody was in a position to do trades, to facilitate industrialization, to do that on their own and then come together in the center. That's not happening anymore. We have a unitary system where everything emanates and ends at the center. I know some of us blame, some of us regions are complaining, but there's a whole lot we could do for ourselves. But we don't have a constitution. Some will argue that the 1999 constitution was not really of the people, that it was imposed on us, and nobody voted. There wasn't a plebiscite to pass it. It was just dumped on us. And there are many items in that constitution that should not be there and does not allow us to develop on our own as federating regions.
I just thought I should read a portion from the book just before I continue. It's important that I do, just to describe the kind of man. When you talk about, you're looking at politicians that are in the ilk of your father. When your father passed, that's when you were just barely 5. And this, I'm reading from page 81. I don't know if you can open it up on your book. Let me see your own copies of the book.
Okay. I have the first edition.
Like mine?
And I have the second edition. And there might be a third one coming.
Oh, really? What's the difference between 1, 2, and 3?
No, there's not much difference between 1 and 2, but some photographs that we added and 1 or 2 stories that we put in there. But the third edition will have a whole lot more. There are so many stories that are not in the book, and we've got still so much to tell. But let's be going.
I would like you to read the first paragraph, though. No one explained death to me.
No one explained death to me. No one cared about me. I might as well have been a fly on the wall. As I witnessed and took in the happenings around me, even though I could not fully appreciate the gravity of what was going on, I knew that I was now part of the horde and special to no one.
That must have hurt, though. I mean, it just looks like that's deep. Because I remember you saying Papa giving you pennies when everybody else was around and starting his day with you, you know. How did that affect you the rest of your life?
Ended his day with me.
Yeah.
He was my soulmate. It was an unusual relationship, but there's nothing like the love of a father for his daughter and a daughter for her father. We had something very, very special. And he made no apologies about it. My mother had to put up with so much.
She called you the first wife or second wife?
He walks into the house. We were mates. I mean, we both knew the deal. He walks in, and the first thing is, where's it? Nene, where is she? Turned to my mother and said, dear Bono, where is she? My mother said, I don't know. Leave me alone. I woke up. It was that bad.
Oh, that good.
And then to have such taken, his love was just, it was reckless. He didn't care what anybody, and it wasn't fair to the other kids. But he didn't care. So anyone that knew my family, knew my father, knew this about him, that he had this daughter that he was besotted with. And knowing that kind of takes you through life, knowing that someone loved you that much, it kind of carried me through. It really did.
Because I think about it, maybe you became the strong woman that you are today, confident in yourself, because you had this love that was assured on earth besides the love that is there. And it's possible that the Lord knew that your father wasn't going to be here for long. Those 5 years, he put in so much, right?
He loaded us
he loaded it.
With
and
so
then,
much love.
The part that describes your father, which I like. I'm sorry, I'm just going back to my father. Still on page 81.
No, go ahead, please.
The last paragraph, still on page 81. Papa was mourned by everyone.
Papa was mourned by everyone, the poor and mighty alike. He was reputed to be comfortable in the company of all, from the old women with whom he would crack palm kernel nuts, and the very young to whom he gave colorful magazine cutouts, as well as his political associates with whom he shared the vision of improving the people's lives. They all gathered in the small byway of Ndianiche Ibamahia to bid farewell to an extraordinary man, Honorable Dixon Kano Onwenu, aka Obufo, which means the one who clears a path. Even that moniker was powerful. DK Onwenu was ahead of his time, and he truly cleared the path for others to follow.
That's my point. That's where I come in now to ask you. DK Onwenu, he was from the southeast of Nigeria. But there could be many more Onyeka Onwenus in our country. How can we produce such people?
This is what is happening with Peter Obi. I liken it to an organic. There's another word that just escaped me. It's a movement. It's a revolution.
People are going to think maybe you are campaigning for Peter Obi.
No, I'm not, because I'm not. I will speak what I feel. I will speak my truth. You can take it or leave it, but this is how I feel, and I can't lie about it. But if it means I'm campaigning for him, he's worth campaigning for, because he will get the job done.
So it's the ilk you're describing now.
It's a generic. That's the word. It's a generic organic movement. Nobody pushed it. It has just come out on its own. It has risen up on its own. It has a life of its own. Young people are reaching other young people. They say it's their time. They're going to take over their country. And I'm saying, hooray. As far as I'm concerned, Peter Obi has won.
Mm-hmm.
Because by coming out, this is what he has started. And we're never going to go back to what it was before. Because if we go back, Nigeria's finished.
Nigeria's finished. So let's talk about purpose. You said finding purpose. That once you find your purpose, right, that's it.
Yes.
Would you say, how would you teach younger people how to find purpose, especially going in the direction we're going? Because I imagine you, with the degree that you had, music became what you did. You did music. It didn't stop you from now coming back into service in some way, and there was no money in it. I mean, I don't know, maybe your millions are hiding somewhere.
I made a living out of it. There's plenty of money there. I don't have all my money because the pirates and the people holding my copy intellectual property and using it and not paying me. I'm a very rich woman. We have fought very hard to improve the industry. People are making money from it. Yes, we're making money from it. It's a profitable business. It could be a whole lot better. And some of us have been the ones who made the sacrifices.
I remember your campaign. I just want to recollect.
Exactly.
When you stood outside of NTA for days.
Baby. Yep.
People thought you were a troublesome woman.
I am a troublesome woman. Hello, don't spoil my reputation, please. I am a troublesome woman.
Okay. Trouble with a purpose. If you fight for what you believe in.
I do. And when you think of it, I haven't just used music for myself. I do music that I call developmental music. You don't have the luxury of singing about love Ogurumwayo and love this and that. You use your music and the voice you have to address issues. And that is what I have done for a very long time. And that has brought me a great deal of fulfillment as well. If you love me, you go wait for me.
Yes, that was a campaign. That was huge. And
but you sing effective.
Still very effective, timeless, actually.
Yes.
Just like for me, One Love is timeless. Yes. One love.
Absolutely.
Keep us together, which is where I'm going to now. Do we really love each other? Now, before you answer that question, there was a segment in your book where you speak about the fact that Biafra, at the rate it was going, may have worked for the Igbos. But it was a tough time. Now, if you say things like that, people are going to say, this woman is being ethnic. She's thinking only of,
No.
So I just wonder about the love that we actually should.
If it had worked, surely it would have been one of the fastest developing countries in the world today. Make no doubt about it. And Nigeria has that capacity and capability of being the same. All the different parts of Nigeria. This is not peculiar to Ndibo or to Biafra. And what gave rise to Biafra, by the way? They didn't just get up and say, hey, we are Biafra. Something happened. And we refuse to address that something. And we keep treating Ndibo as if they are second-class citizens. They are not worth it. They are not trustworthy. And I keep saying, if you don't want them, let them go. not being an ethnic jingoist or what have you. I'm also saying that Biafra didn't work and we have Nigeria. Nigeria can work. Can we please make it work? So you have to take my comments in their totality and let them remain in context. Don't just come and say, she says Biafra. Something led to me saying that. Something led to Biafra. That thing that led to Biafra is still going on.
What is that
Look
thing?
at what PDP did, depriving of Southeast their turn. Look at what APC did, the same thing. So, and we've made sacrifices and continue to make. I'm not going to apologize for being Igbo. No, heck no. I'm proudly Igbo. I'm proudly Nigerian. So, hey, I'm not someone to discriminate. But I will stand up and say, this is who I am. And sorry, I'm not going to apologize for it.
Surely you're not at the stage to be apologizing for anything because of what you have learned.
Mbanu.
So this love, how do we improve? How do we encourage? Because you talk about we have refused to accept that something. You know, it appears that if we accept that something, will there be love? What would make us accept that something that was sweeping under the carpet? And could that something be what resulted in the Civil War? Ethnicity, ethnic differences.
Ethnicity is good. One of the fascinating things about Nigeria is that it's not just one people. It would be so boring. And I said this in the book. If we all spoke the same language, wore the same dress, ate the same food, everything the same thing. No. So the gift of a varied combination of ethnicities, too many words. Ethnicitism. Thank you. Is that we have all that coming together and everybody bringing something to the center. It's fascinating. It's beautiful. And I've always embraced that in my life, in my marriage, in my connections. I mean, you look at the array of personalities that had some effect on me, and it's who is who from all over Nigeria.
By the way, people will find it in this
blessed
book.
By that.
They'll find it in this book. Some of it is in this book.
Absolutely. So don't just paint me with that brush. What we need to do is to value our differences, appreciate, understand, respect one another. Be truthful and fair. Let there be justice. Let it not be one group taking everything. We are all worthy. We are all beautifully and wonderfully, marvelously made. Let's love ourselves, but let us love one another. There is plenty of room for everybody in this country, for all Nigerians to be Nigerian and to benefit and contribute something to the growth of this beautiful country. That's all I'm saying.
Would elective office be something you would still run for at some point in time?
Mba.
A big fat
And I don't
mba.
want an appointment either. Listen, I'm going back into creativity and I'm having such a wonderful time. Don't call me for that. I am writing new songs. I am doing TV. I'm preparing a TV series. We're doing scripting. There's just so much. I've given the time to that. And the young people out there, I'd like to invite them, the women, to go in and fight for it. Don't just sit back. Nobody's going to hand it over to you.
So are you willing to teach? Because you fought for it, you didn't get it, you know? Do you think the time is ripe now?
I got to serve. If it isn't one thing, there will be another. So I got to serve, and I've done so. And I continue to serve with my music, with my creativity. There's still a lot that is inside here that needs to come out.
Yeah, I mean, at this rate, I think you're going to be like 95, 100, giving hopes precedence. You're going to be that. So, I mean,
Only God knows.
Only God knows. And I would
just
like
try to have a good time.
Yes, there was a video you shared with me recently in the morning, and it was you doing the song.
It's called Goodness of God.
I didn't even know who played the song. I first heard it being done by, what's that name? Sissy Winans. So I thought it was her songs. And I thought, and so yeah, I was thinking somebody else's song. I couldn't imagine the humility of it and the decision. Was it an easy decision to do?
But I said I wasn't going to do it. Let me just say something first. When I say God speaks to me, and this is what I discovered, I finally made up my mind as I was writing my book, because there were so many instances. I said, okay, he's been there talking to me all the time. The fact is, he talks to all of us. Whether we hear him or not is another matter. Whether we obey or not is another matter. And this one, I wasn't going to obey. I said, no, I ain't doing it. It is just my mind. That's not God putting it in my heart. It's not the kind of song I would do. You know that. But this song was coming to me at a specific time. I was going through a lot. Back to back, November, December. And in some days, he will wake me up with this song. Then about 10 different people will send it to me. And it got out of hand, and it just dropped in my mind, in my spirit. Why don't you do a cover? I said, nah, that's not God.
A whole Onyeka doing cover.
Yeah, I said that. I said, I'll kuku write you as many songs as you want. I ain't doing this one. It's not I love the lyrics, but it's not my type of song. So now he sends Grace Egbagwe, and I mentioned her name in the testimonies, so people can call her and ask her. 2 a.m. in the morning, she calls me and said, is everything okay? She said, yeah, it's about this song. I just think that you ought to do. I said, oh no. He had chased me down with it. He did. Now, I want to contribute towards it. How much does it cost? I told myself, I can't do everything, but I'm going to send you money. It's my contribution. When a woman like you sends you money, I said, you don't go and start buying a new bag or that gold earring or that shoe you've been looking at. No, you don't. You go and do what you intended to do. And that's how we got to the studio, and everything changed, because we were singing the song and everybody was breaking down. And I realized what the Lord was trying to tell me. I'm here with you, no matter what you're going through. And by the way, as you're going through those things, can you remember my goodness? And all the things that I've done, when it looked like it wasn't going anywhere, when like you were going to fall, you were going to lift you up. And literally, with the example of the song, he had to chase me down. And I thank him for his patience.
So I think we should all count on the goodness of God as we go towards 2023.
Yes. Absolutely.
So this is a good time to say bye-bye to you for now. And I'm going to play a little bit of that song. I'm going to play a little bit of that song, because for me, it was like, my goodness, if Onyeka can do a cover, there's a message in that song. And by the way, you owned it, because there was the Igbo version. I'm going to play a little bit of it as I go by. You owned it, man. You owned it. Imagine? You owned it. I'm going to run away with that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's been an honor.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks,
being on everybody. This side. And by the way, don't forget to let us know how we can get the audio version of this book for those who don't want to read, and how to get the book.
I would let you know. We're looking for the vendor.
Thank you very much, ma'am, and I appreciate it. Have a good day. Bye. Thank you. It's been a wonderful conversation as always. And I said, please subscribe to the channel, like it, share it, and catch the podcast too on all the platforms that we shall be scrolling across on the screen. Thank you for watching. It's been In Depth, this time with Onyeka Onwenu.